Well, it's official. The UK is now recognized as the fraud capital of the world. It's absolutely embarrassing. This is one of the stories that you're not going to hear much from the mainstream media, but it's a very, very important issue, and we have to talk about this and we have to raise awareness. Now, this is about all the telemarketers, the phone calls you guys receive, the emails you get, the fake emails you receive, pretending to be a relative, or sometimes they're very clever about how they do it, insurance phone calls. This situation is getting worse. So, let's talk about some facts. Well, £3 billion. £3 billion a year is officially reported that's been lost. It's been taken from the British people. Now, these fraudsters, a lot of them are not even in the country. A lot of these fraudsters are from different countries. India, for example, and many other places. So they are literally stealing the British money. And this is happening on a regular basis. Now, £3 billion is reported. The estimate that we've had, because not everything is actually completely being investigated or charged, is about the damage to the economy is £137 billion. That's the estimate. Now, of course, it could be a bit higher, it could be a bit lower, but it is extremely dangerous, the situation we have now. The damage to the country is one thing. The damage to the lives of the individuals who are being scammed is another huge problem. More than 40 million adults in the UK have been scammed and will get scammed. And this number could get worse. Now, we are worse than any other country right now, including the US, including many other places with a higher population in terms of per capita. This has to be sorted out. The problem we now have is about enforcement, law enforcement, the police. Scamming and fraudsters, this is now one of the biggest ways when it comes to the category of crimes. Now, we have burglary still happening in a smaller scale. We have theft and many other crimes, but this is actually now one of the main crimes. Yet, only 2% of police officers have been allocated to deal with this. Only 2%. There are the bigger percentage of police officers who are there, who've been allocated to sit behind their computers to check your tweets and on social media what you post, to see if you're talking about hate crime or whatever, hate speech. That's more important, apparently, than actually going after real criminals, not just on the streets, but of course on the online world, or obviously on the people who call you on a regular basis. This is getting worse. Only 1 in 1,000 get charged. So of those that actually get reported, this is the situation we have. Only few get investigated, and only 1 in 1,000 get charged. Now, this probably even discourages many of us to even bother with calling the police, right? I mean, we still have to do it. But we have no expectations, because we know that the majority of us who get scammed, we're not going to get our money back. We're not going to get actually any justice. Now, this is a bigger problem that we actually have created for ourselves because of the system that we have. So 40% reduction in fraud, if we do it, would save the economy £55 billion a year if we actually police it properly. Now, only 15% of fraud offences are reported according to the Office of National Statistics, and 66% of police officers in the UK use generalist investigators to tackle the fraud, instead of actually using specialists and a bigger team to do this. Now, this story got big because of the Daily Mail. Now, the Mail came up with a bit of a manifesto, how to make some reforms. And I agree with most of it, apart from the first one. I mean, maybe it might work. They say we should have a minister for fraud. Now, it's better than nothing, right? At least they might create some sort of, as a persona, we have a minister, we have to actually be scrutinized, we have to hold them to account. But I have no faith in having elected politicians to be in charge of anything. So it may be. The idea is to streamline the fight against fraud. The police priority, that's the second thing that the Mail are talking about, and that has to definitely change. Make tackling fraud a priority for police and boost the number of fraud specialists across the country. Now, the other thing is Action Fraud, the organization, the body that is in charge for reporting. Complete overhaul of Action Fraud, because you need to completely replace it with a better and more improved reporting system. Otherwise, no one's going to actually get anything done. And then they also talk about, in terms of the banks and financial institutions, make it mandatory for reimbursement of the money that's been lost for the customers, as well as holding the big tech platforms to account, because they are the ones who are unintentionally facilitating this platform for fraudsters from across the world, who are targeting the UK for a number of reasons. The reason they're targeting us more than many other places is because of this. Because the system is broken, there's no reporting properly done, there are not enough police officers actually managing it. So they know a random scammer in Bangladesh or India or wherever you want to think about, or even in the UK, they know that it's more likely for them to get away with crime in Great Britain. This is the situation. Now, this was obviously not a political update, but I thought I actually have to make this video because it's one of the most underrated but very most important issues that we are dealing with in this country. So feel free to share this with your friends and relatives and your neighbors and everyone you know, and subscribe to the channel. We're going to come back in half an hour with more updates for you guys on my Tousi, and we are the media.